Alright, so we're back at the apartment, and our life seems to have improved a little bit. Still pretty gray, but at least the window is not broken anymore. And we have a new friend, so let's check out. Let's see what we have here. I love these musical snippets that play before every single stage. They are so beautiful. The first one and this one now are probably my favorite ones. Let's go, let's do this. I love this stage. The music on this one is particularly good, if I remember correctly. I also like, in the very first stage we had how do I say this? Like the environment it wasn't, at the beginning of the stage, it wasn't super lively, but it also wasn't this dead. So this is very desaturated, and it seems like a more dire situation from the start. And I really enjoy that contrast. Especially with the red flowers, it just looks really, really nice. And something I touched upon in the previous episode. Oh, that's nice. So see, we are bringing color back into things. So this is not only about blooming the flowers now, but also just returning the world to normal. And in here, the message of the game becomes abundantly clear. And they will reinforce it, but yeah, it's fine. So something I've touched upon in the previous episode is that I stumbled upon this game into a particularly special, I guess I could say, moment of my life. I was still in college when this came out. I was doing engineering. And it was just completely amazing to me to think that this game that I liked so much, I thought was so incredible, was done by like a group of 8 people. That was just amazing. And at the time, it even got me into doing a bit of game development, something that I never really, not to say that I finished it, but I tried it, and I think that was when I started reading books about game design. And I am still so grateful that I did that, because it really changed my appreciation and my understanding for all games. Like, not to say that I got super into indie games, I really didn't. There is, like, nowadays, indie games are not really a thing that I consume as often as my speech maybe directing you towards. It's just like, I really am a person that's like more inclined to play RPGs or games with, I'm gonna call it a higher production values, which is unfair, but it is what it is. Not to say that I am like Assassin's Creed Odyssey or get the fuck out. Like that's not the thing. Assassin's Creed, get the fuck out. But I do like when a game has evident production values, let's call it that. But the experience I had with game development and with flowers specifically, and of just trying to consume as much educational material as I could about game design, it was really important for me. And I talk about game design a lot in this channel, and game design to me became very transparent in the sense that it became a thing that I pay a lot of attention to. And it really changed the way that I think about gaming. Like, what do I value in a game? What are the things that I pay attention to? So when I first played Flower, I'm sure I was aware of it in a subconscious level, but I became let's call it intellectually aware of the ways in which Flower manipulates a person, not only in terms of like direction, like where do you go, how do you find the secrets, what are the things that you may be looking towards, but how it directs you emotionally and through gameplay and other such and suches. And it was really cool to make that journey and to read all those books and go into this sort of material. And back in college, I had a group of friends that we tried to develop some games with, and it was a lot of fun. We didn't do anything. It was like really hard. Game development is really hard. Like, if you don't know this, game development is fantastically difficult. I have massive appreciation for anybody that does it, especially in a like solo or small team capacity. I have always wanted to try to develop a game of myself. I have this dream of doing a shmup. And I don't think I'm ever gonna do it, but it's like, I really enjoy the coding aspect of it. I think it's really interesting to code a game. And I'm a musician, so I can do the music. I love doing game music. I've actually done it before for like a small indie project over here. I don't even know if the project ever got released, but anyway. I did it like out of the goodness of my heart just because I wanted to try it. And it was super fun to do it because game music is a very specific type of music. But it's just like the visual arts of games, like whenever I am trying to code a game and I have to do sprites or models, like that's the end of me. Because doing art is just the hardest thing. It's super complicated, and it is, how do I say this? It's like, it is being able to work on your game when it looks like crap, when it looks like just absolute garbage, when you're just like trying to improve and make the movement of a square feel nice. It is just the most soul-wracking thing. It is the absolute worst. And it's like that, it's just really demoralizing. So I never got really far into it. It just pains me to try to work on gameplay on something that doesn't look good. But I'm not skilled enough to make it look nice. And I don't have money to hire an artist for this. So yeah, that will stay in the dream realm for the foreseeable future. But who knows, maybe someday. But it's something that I really want to do. I really want to like design, program, and compose a game, but I have no intention of actually ever doing the like visual side of it. That's just not my thing. But it was really nice to be put in touch with what designing a game actually is. Like all of the tiny small details that you have to be aware of and considerate of in order to have like a successful game design. And it really instilled upon me a much greater appreciation for games just in general. However, it also woke me up to when game designers and game developers are full of shit. And it is an impressive amount. It is an impressive amount of times when game designers or game developers, they go into interviews and they just say things that are like, you are not thinking this through. Like you are not in touch with the thing you should be considering. And that happens a bizarre amount of times. And it's just really disconcerting. Like to have the realization. And I can date this video horribly by mentioning a reference to this, which is recently, I forget his name, but the former director for Band Studios, which is a studio that up until recently was close to my heart because they made Siphon Filter on the PS1, and that game is amazing. I loved Siphon Filter, it was so good. So the former director of Band Studios, they took to Twitter to make a fool out of themselves by saying some really freaking dumb stuff in the shape of them just complaining that people don't buy games at full price enough. And that's just like, my friend, you are incorrect in your assumptions. And don't get me wrong, what he actually said was that if people want more sequels, they should buy games at full price. And economically speaking, that is a completely sound thing to say that makes perfect sense. However, it is unbelievably fucking stupid to say it. Because, well, there are two things that are essentially very, very wrong with that line of thinking. And the first one is that you are shifting the blame towards the consumer for them not like supporting your project enough. And that's not how that works. That's just not how that works at all. Like you can't just say that. You can't just say it is your fault that I didn't do this thing because you didn't support me, because people are not obligated to support any sort of creative endeavor. It is on the creator to provide value to people. So it's just like, I have a very close to my heart example to this, which is just like, I do music and my albums, both of them, and I'm producing another 2 albums now currently. They are free, they will always be free. I have no intention of charging money for my music because I just do music because I like it. And I have been doing music for forever now. I have been playing since forever. So, and it's just like, if I took the notion of being like, I'm only going to do music if people buy it, I am only doing myself a disservice. And a disservice to this thing that I really like doing. And I do it out of love. And I understand that, I don't know, like Siphon Filter and more recently Days Gone, they are too complex of projects to be done out of pure love. I understand the need for material support. But it's just, it is profoundly unfair for a game designer to just go and say to people, the reason why I can't do my job is because you people are not supporting me enough. Like, no. You're looking at this backwards. Maybe the correct approach to this would be that you are not able to do your job. People are not supporting you enough because you're not doing a good enough job. And I know that's a very harsh thing to say, but you know, maybe people would be more inclined to buy your games if they were better. Or maybe you would have an easier time having a return of investment if your investment was more in line with what you can actually deliver. So it's just like, is it really a good idea for AAA development now in 2021 be as expensive as it is? Is it really a good idea that games cost millions and billions of dollars and they need to get millions and millions of sales to be able to even break even? Maybe that's not a good system. maybe that's not a good thing. Like maybe the strive for realistic graphics and 20-hour-long games is not good for the industry and for developers, and maybe everybody needs to come to terms with that. So yeah, so that's the first thing about that line of thinking that really throws me off. And it's just, you can't just blame the consumer for not wanting to buy the thing that you make. That's not a thing. That's just not a thing. That is really stupid. And it leads to profoundly regrettable places in terms of just consumer and market philosophy. That's just bad. And thankfully, he got perfectly adequate flack for saying such incredible, regrettable bullshit. However, one of the things that the games industry has 100% proved is that it has no long-term memory, or even medium or even short-term memory. People just forget stuff really easily. So it's not like I expect that this will have any sort of lasting impact. But yeah, regrettable to say the least, but whatever. So just to appreciate what we have been doing here, we are now in this open space and we can touch these rocks to acquire the power of color. And here we acquire the power of blue, and we can paint the grass blue, which is nice. And if we head on over to that other one over there, we get the power of yellow, and we can paint the grass yellow, which is nice. It's good, satisfying gameplay, simple and effective in creating an emotional reaction to this thing, where it's just like, yes, this is my field now. I am painting it, I am taking control of it. And it's just satisfying, it's just good. So anyway, returning to the debacle. So the second part of the thought that really irks me to no end is that if you want more sequels, you should buy stuff at full price. I take issue with that sequel thing because, I don't know, man, things are sequelized quite enough as it is. I really wish the standard would shift back to like providing people with original new ideas that are actually worth engaging with. And I watched an interview with the creative director of Days Gone. And one of the things that he said to me was just hilarious is that the guy interviewing him called the game a zombie game, and he got like a visible eye twitch. Like, no, don't call it that. But his correction was just like, oh, it's not a zombie game, it's like a clicker. No, a clicker. Clicker is Last of Us. It's a, what did he call it? Freaker game? I don't know what they call it inside of the game because I've never played Days Gone. But my confusion is emblematic of what it is. Like, call it clicker, call it a flicker, call it freaker, zombie, whatever it is you want to call it. It is still an open world game with crafting and collectibles. It's like you could not be doing a more bog standard, uncreative thing if you tried. Well, I guess you could make a modern shooter, but that's the state of things. Is like, not only are you lashing out on your consumers for not supporting your creative endeavor, but your creative endeavor is actually profoundly uncreative. And that's just like, if you're going to like go on Twitter to bitch about people not supporting your creative thing because you wanted to do a sequel of it, maybe wanting people to demand sequels for open world zombie games is like not the best. Like, maybe that's not the best argument to be making. But yeah, that's just, it's profoundly disappointing, and everything nowadays is sequels. Because the industry is inherently creative. The games industry is inherently creative. Like, creating games is a creative thing. You create them. And even if you are derivative in your design, you are still creating something new. I've never played Days Gone, but I'm sure it has some new ideas. It has to. It just has to. It has to have some sort of good idea. So some good new and creative ideas that is more than just the technical bullshit of the Horde thing. Like, I cannot believe that the entire game is just derivative. That would be really hard for me to swallow. But yeah, so it's just like, I don't know, it's weird. That was a really weird thought, and I am still incredibly sour on the whole games industry thing, where everyone just wants sequels. Sony just wants to do more God of War and Last of Us because that's the games that do pretty much, they will do over the course of their lives, like double-digit million sales, both gonna sell more than 10 million units. And I understand that business will always try to maximize profits. There is nothing wrong with that inherently. But it is too bad when the maximization of profits is completely in the way of creativity in a creative field. Because I get maximization of profits in, like, I don't know, oil, in the oil industry, or like in car productions. Like, you want to do as many cars as you can, so they have to be like efficient, and they have to be designed to be able to be manufactured in a speedy way, or whatever other logistics. But it's like, you are still producing very high-end cars that not many people are going to buy, that are creative, fulfilling for their designers, and they are expensive, sure, but it's just like, it is divided. So maybe my thing is that maybe the games are supposed to be creative endeavors, maybe those should cost $60 or something, and the Call of Duties can go down to costing $30 because they are just manufactured. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people could call me out on this, and of how ignorant of the creative process of making Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed I'm being. I'm sure a lot of people that, if any of them would stumble upon this video, they would get very cross at me for just dismissing their work. It's like, I don't know, man. Just like, being a musician, I related to what it would be like to compose a jingle for a commercial. It would be creative, no doubt about it. You're like, to be able to compose an effective jingle, or effective corporate music, like music for that. Whenever you see like a motivational thing by a company when they try to make you believe that they are not actually just sucking corporations that are out for your money and nothing else, when you have that like upbeat music with ukulele, you know what I'm talking about. Like, of course there is a creative aspect to composing that sort of music, but it is a manufactured process. You can sit down and write one of those in like an hour, and it would be as good a quality as anything you would actually stumble upon in the actual market. But anyway, let's wrap this up. I've been talking for what feels like half an hour. It's probably 20 minutes, but it feels way longer. Just because I have not been really doing much with the controller, just walking around. And it's good because in itself, that's pleasant. In itself, that is a very pleasant thing in this game, because this game is good. A good game that's good to control, and it's just good to exist. And I really like your Flower. Like, you're pretty good. You're a good game. Good stuff. Oh, we got our 3 again. Nice. That's pretty good. Happy to see it. So now we have some color back in our lives. That's pretty good. Things are looking up.